all these quarterback moves across the NFL. How does this impact Shedeur Sanders and his draft stock? Where do you feel he's going to go? Where's the best team that you feel it is for him? And what are your thoughts? Go ahead.
I think the Giants are the best team for him. I think they drafted him at 3. But the contracts I really keep separate because you could have bet me my left kidney that the Falcons were not going to draft a quarterback last year after signing Kirk Cousins to $100 million guaranteed. And they did it anyway. So now it's like, you know what? I see what the Raiders did, but if they feel like Shedeur Sanders gives them the best chance for the future, they'll draft him. I see what the Giants did. They've only spent about, I think their total commitment and guaranteed money is about $14 million, 16 at the most, which is nothing for a quarterback these days. So you can see them draft Shedeur and still be under the league average of money spent for the quarterback room. So when it comes down to the first part of the question, as far as how do these signings impact Shedeur's draft stock or status, I don't think it has an impact because NFL owners at this point are so hell bent to win that whatever they feel like gives them the best opportunity to win, they will. Secondly, but I do feel like the best fit for Shedeur in the top 10 is the Giants. And I think when it comes down to the best team, I don't know how they get up, but I think the Steelers, if they were able to get into that top 10 some type of way, I think that's a team that's ready-made for Shedeur. You got George Pickens, NFL young boy, and DK Metcalf on the other side. So you got you got a great tight end in Pratt Freiermuth. Another good tight end in Darnell Washington out of UGA, 6'7" target. Offensive line is decent. The running game, you lose Najee Harris, but you still got Jaylen Warren. I think they picked up what's my man? I think they got Gainwell, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure. They did pick up another that type running back of that ilk. I had to check that out. And then defensively, man, you got TJ Watt. So, I mean, that's almost a defense in itself. Like, I watched him basically beat the Falcons by himself last year. I almost feel like he threw a touchdown pass, too. That's how bad it was. So, I think the Steelers would probably be a wonderful fit for him. But as far as in the top 10, and then if the draft stays chalk, then I think it's the Giants.
Man, that's an interesting answer. I did not expect you to say that, considering the Giants brought in Winston, they brought in Russell Wilson, paying Russ up to $21 million a year. Like you mentioned, you don't feel it applies, and you have a very valid reasoning for that. Your Falcons, Kirk Cousins, and Michael Penix. Shout out UW. I grew up in Seattle, but shout out to Penix. But man, here's my theory with this, and I want to get your take on it. The Giants, I believe that they signed 2 veteran quarterbacks because Brian Daboll's on the hot seat. He doesn't want to risk starting a rookie quarterback and losing, and he ends up getting fired. Because I think if he doesn't win 7 or 8 games, he's probably gone. Now, my theory at the Raiders is this. Pete Carroll is a defensive guy, and we know that. And he obviously brought in Geno Smith to be his quarterback. I think there are too many defensive guys for Pete Carroll to pass up on, specifically the 2 Michigan guys, Mason Graham and Will Johnson. I've been saying this for a month and a half on this show. I think they're going to go Will Johnson at 6 at DB. And if they can get Jack Jones back there, I think it would be a pretty good secondary, but I think the Raiders need secondary help. I don't think they'll go Mason Graham just because they have Christian Wilkins, but possibly just because we didn't really see too much production from Wilkins after getting a huge contract. But the Jets at 7 are very intriguing. That's what my original prediction was. Matt's worst nightmares, I've been saying. They go to his Jets, and you know how he feels about the Jets. But I think the Jets, if you look on the optimistic side, are actually a team that are not that far away from winning, so to speak. What are your thoughts on my thoughts there? Go ahead. What do you think?
Yeah, they're built to win now. You think about Breece Hall, you think about Garrett Wilson, who we haven't even seen Garrett Wilson yet because he hasn't had consistent quarterback play. Now, even though he's putting up great seasons and statistically fantasy football stalwart, but when it comes down to it, we haven't seen his best self because he hasn't had anyone to get him the ball consistently. When you look at what they've been able to do on the offensive line and defensively, you got a guy at every level, man. You got Quinnen Williams, D tackle. You got the guy was supposed to be C.J. Mosley, but it ended up being Jamie Sherwood out of Auburn, and you still got Sauce Gardner, who I think has a point to prove this year, with a chip on the shoulder after everybody said DJ Reed was the best corner on that team last year. So, and Sauce Gardner still has pun intended, he still has the sauce, right? So I think at this point, I think the Jets. I've also said, even with the Jets, you still get the New York media, which I think Shedeur is built for.
Absolutely. I don't know if after the 2 quarterback signings with the Giants, I don't know if they go quarterback. I think Daboll's going to have to play to save his job there. The Raiders, I mean, I grew up a Seahawks fan. I'm a Pete Carroll guy. I don't think he goes quarterback in the first round ever. He's never done that. He didn't do that in Seattle. When he needed a quarterback 10 years ago, he went and drafted Bruce Irvin in the first round. JB goes and then he drafted quarterback in the later rounds, which if the Raiders go quarterback, I could see that possibly happening. But man, I think he either falls to 7 the Jets. Final thing, Cowboys, if Shedeur's there at 12, there's no way Jerry Jones will say no to that. Like, I get the Cowboys just traded for Milton today. Tennessee volunteer for briefly, but I don't know. Cowboys, any possibility there?
I mean, if he's there at 12, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Man, no, that's the first time I heard that. I didn't even realize I just forgot the Cowboys were so sorry last year. Like, dang, like, I forgot they got the 12th pick. Yeah. That's the perfect scenario, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I mean, what number
does fall in the top 10, which I don't theoretically, I don't think there's any way he shouldn't, but if he does, shit, there's no way Jerry Jones says no to that. That's just my thoughts.
1,000%. Soon as he is drafted, the number 1 jersey seller in the league. Shedeur, number 2, Sanders and Cowboys, 1,000%. Number 1, soon as it happens.
I have to be. Man, I agree with you there. That'd be moneymaker there.